Very warm good morning to all of you. Daughter of NC sir amongst us. Thank you, madam.
And I am the president of National Federation for New States, and I represent Gorkhaland here.
So, तमंग जी, ये जो डिमांड आ रहा है, वी हैव बीन सीइंग इन वेस्ट बंगाल लॉट ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स ऑन दिस. सो बेसिकली आपको क्या लगता है कि इसके पीछे इतना लेट होने का मूल कारण क्या सिर्फ पॉलिटिकल ही है कि दूसरा भी कोई कारण है?
As Sanil Sab just mentioned to you, the first reason that we can understand is a lack of political will from the government, because this demand is a long-standing and a constitutional demand. And not only is it long-standing, but this has also been registered in the manifesto of the present ruling party, not just in the last election, but also in the election previous to that. So it is not as if this demand is not recognized by the political class. The political class is aware of this demand. It is well aware of it. It has engaged with this demand, especially during the time of elections. But as far as showing a political will towards finding a solution, that seems to be absolutely lacking. Now, in the case of Gorkhaland, in the last manifesto, the present ruling party called for a permanent political solution, without defining the name of a state or without defining what it is. But be that as it may be, we were happy that the government had at least committed, the party had at least committed itself to finding a political solution. But there doesn't seem to be any progress in that direction at all. In fact, we are very disappointed that there hasn't even been a consistent series of talks and other engagements. There has been a couple of talks, but very sporadic and without connection to the next talk. So that is what is disappointing. That only shows the lack of engagement. Only shows that there is a lack of political will, and that is exactly what we want. The government should speak its mind. The government should engage, and the government should express what it thinks about our demand.
But we find only things like in Manipur, the present scenario we can see only the government when the situation takes a turmoil or something like this. Don't you think that the government is responsible for such a situation to be created when such issues or demands are pending for, you said, more than half a century? So how do you see into the overall? Because it's not only the present government, earlier also, the state government is also there.
I am Swapnajit Sanyal. I am the General Secretary of the National Federation for New States, NFNS. I come from Nagpur, that is Vidarbha.
Okay, so today's meeting, how many states representatives are meeting, those who are demanding for separate state, and why is it necessary for separate state?
Of the 10 associates, 7 are representing today. And in today's meeting they are present, their representatives are present.
And okay, why this demand has come, and how it is of course a constitutional demand, there is no doubt about it, and how the people are presently suffering, why the necessity for this separate state?
The demand is legal in the sense that it is a constitutional demand. This demand is not a new demand. I can tell you of some of the constituents of NFNS where the demand is more than 100 years old. For example, Vidarbha. You are also aware that the Gorkhaland demand is
100 years old.
100 years old. The Bodol demand is almost 40-50 years old. So none of these demands are new. And since the Constitution itself provides that there can be separate states in one nation, our basic motto therefore is one nation, several states. In addition to the underdevelopment, or rather lack of development, there is also a question of grant of autonomy to these areas which are demanding separate statehood. So it's a mixed kind of a demand, I would say.
It's mixed. Is it on the basis of any community like the Vidarbha? It has its own problems also. As we often read in the paper, a lot of underdevelopments are there, and the farmers are the worst sufferer. So, has it got some association with that also?
It has, definitely it has. Other than the kind of demands that exists in the Northeast, which is basically ethnic, in the sense that traditions and customs and other things are a subject matter. There are areas such as Bundelkhand, Vidarbha, uh, and for that matter Ladakh also, where this demand is more or less based on uh, the lack of development, the pathetic situation in which its population is in, agrarian distress, etc.
But why this demand is not been taking so long? Because, and why this underdevelopment?
There's a simple answer to this: lack of political will.
Lack of politics. Thank you, sir.